On today's Cowboys Report, we'll discuss Kenneth Murray and my maybe very angry thoughts at the end of today's show. But I want to begin with all the latest here on Trevon Diggs, his future, more long-term, and what the timeline looks like for a potential return to the Cowboys as soon as this week. Before we get into that, do you want Trevon Diggs back this week for the Dallas Cowboys? Simple yes or no will suffice. Y for yes, N for no. Go vote in the comments. The Cowboys designated Trevon Diggs to return on November 30th. Now, he is still in the middle of that 21-day return window. He doesn't have to come back this week. It might raise some eyebrows if he doesn't return this week. There had been the hopes, the chance for a return last week against the Detroit Lions. Ended up not being the case, despite kind of what Jerry Jones had hinted at. But it's Dr. Jerry. You can't always trust that doctor in particular. Of note, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler had reported that Trevon Diggs was still trying to get back into game shape. And, you miss over a month of actual reps. That isn't maybe terribly surprising, but that is at least the potential reason as to why the Diggs return has not happened yet. The Cowboys have really shuffled their cornerback room to the point that I actually think it might be able to argue Savone Revel might actually be ahead now of Kalen Carson on this Cowboys depth chart. Deron Bland, Reddy Stewart still plays some. Triquez Bridges doesn't really play at all. But if Diggs returns, what does that rotation look like? Does Bland play a lot more in the nickel? And do they put Diggs and Revel on the outside? Diggs, there have been games where he has been good to the extent that, teams aren't even throwing it his way. They have ignored him. That's noteworthy. There have also been games of when he's been targeted, boy, it's been bad. Has not been nearly good enough. The cornerback, the secondary in general has been bad to the point that, I am very much wondering, is this a lack of confidence in the design of Matt Eberflus? Kind of suspect that might be the case. Deron Bland has not been very good this year. He has looked like a shell of himself. I get the foot injury is maybe a factor, but he hasn't been good enough. Savone Revel's yards per coverage snap actually look pretty good, but he did not have a very good game last week. 3 penalties as well. He looks like a third-round pick who hadn't played football in over a year, who is maybe being put in situations that, don't fit him. Diggs and Revel, let them play man, let them play press, and it's all off zone and the occasional off man. It's not, I don't like that from people. So that's a different conversation. We're focused on Diggs here. Do you think he returns this week to the Cowboys? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. I would lean yes. And if it doesn't happen this week, the eyebrows continue to be raised. More on that in a second, but let me know in the comment section. 1 for yes, 2 for no. I do want to get to what Brian Schottenheimer had to say on Trevon Diggs. I don't want to read too much into them, but I do think these quotes from last week, essentially, are notable. Here's what Schotty said. Trevon and I have a really good relationship. But, like I said, some people don't like people that have real, authentic, hard conversations. But yeah, I love Trevon. I think there's definitely a mutual respect there. And, the thing that I would say is a little bit, it's my wife and I or my kids and I, there's sometimes that they say things to me, I'm like, whoa, okay, I didn't really appreciate your delivery there, what you said. I think that happens at times in this business, and it's all about being a family and having a love and a respect for one another. I don't know how positive that quote actually was. He led with, we have a good relationship, but he also snuck in stuff of some people don't like to have real authentic conversations. And sometimes I don't like the delivery that Diggs gives me. That just kind of sounded an alarm. Okay, it's interesting. That's not the same way that Shotty talks about other players, even George Pickens. He doesn't talk about Pickens that way. That was okay. That one raised an eyebrow for me of that's noteworthy. We'll get into more on Diggs' long-term future because I do think that is winding down here. Before we get into it, today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the holiday season, the best time of the year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. That is PrizePicks. They now offer early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. One of the many, many PrizePicks lineups you can do on Monday night. A.J. Brown more than receiving yards. I still think Kamani Vidal is going to be involved, especially noteworthy given we don't know how impactful Marion Hampton will be in his first game back. So I do like the more than on that rather low 35.5 rush yards, more than, less than. It's simple to play. You pick more or less at least 2 player stats. Get those picks right, you could cash in. It's available in 45 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and, of course, Texas. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Let's go more here on Trevon Diggs. ESPN listed Diggs as one of the 10 vets who could, quote-unquote, unexpectedly be on the move. I do want to emphasize this. That would in zero ways actually be a surprise. We have spent plenty of time on this here on the channel in the past. The writing has been on the wall for a long time now, to the extent that I think if the Cowboys could have found a trade partner for Trevon Diggs before the year began, I think they would have moved on from him. There was that level of frustration, and I don't think missing all this time this year, whether his fault or not, has led to any better relationship between the overall big picture Cowboys front office and Trevon Diggs. So predictions. Will Dallas move on from Diggs after this season? K for keep, D for dump. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. This is what ESPN's Dan Graziano reported on Diggs. It's been an up-and-down year for Diggs in Dallas with an injury suffered at home. The Cowboys drafted cornerback Savone Revel in April, and while Diggs has 3 years and $57 million left on his contract, none of that remaining money is guaranteed. The Cowboys would incur just a $5.88 million figure in dead money if they released him. Diggs has been working his way back from an injury, has a chance to show enough over the rest of the year to convince Dallas to keep him, but at this point, it's no sure thing that they do. Diggs had 11 picks back in 2021, but he only has 6 over the past 4 seasons combined, and last played 17 games in 2022. This is the breakdown of the Trevon Diggs contract via Spotrac over the cap. His cap hit for next year is $18.44 million. It actually will probably dip a little bit because he's not going to get all the per-game roster bonuses as likely incentives. It'll be some unlikely stuff there, but that's the figure. The cash owed is $15.5 million. That's if he maxes out all that incentive stuff. Pre-June 1st savings. You move on from him, you save $12.56 million. The post-June 1st savings, you save $15.5 million. That is both for the savings for a cut and a trade. Not much of a difference there. You'd probably just take the pre-June 1st one since you only get 2 post-June 1st moves anyway. I am of the belief that a release of Trevon Diggs is inevitable. Maybe he comes back and he plays out of his mind. If so, great. We can totally revisit this conversation. But given just how bad things have been in terms of that relationship between the team and the player, dating back to this past offseason, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones taking drive-by shots of Diggs for really no reason with the recovery, Diggs coming back early and then still getting hurt and allegedly missing some of his, rehab stuff throughout this season. All-time big red flags on that front. I think he's gone. And I don't think a trade happens either. Thanks to the decline in play, all of the injuries, the sizable contract, $15.5 million in cash, I don't think anybody is going to be trading for Trevon Diggs this offseason. Now, we'll have you covered with plenty of offseason updates here on the channel. We are 728 subs away from 240,000 here at the Cowboys Report. Appreciate everyone who has subbed. Hit that sub button if you haven't already for more free Cowboys YouTube videos. Deep breath because it bothers me. Let's talk Kenneth Murray. Brian Schottenheimer asked, by the way, good job Cowboys media to ask about Kenneth Murray. Asked about Kenneth Murray versus Logan Wilson. Back to Kenneth Murray again. Here's what Shotty said. It's a good comparison. I think both players have attributes that we really like. The run and hit ability of Murray, the physicality he plays with, definitely jumps off the film. I think Logan has done an incredible job of coming in here and learning the system. His ability to dissect things is incredible. Right now, I think we're getting positive play from both guys, and that's why you see the numbers where they are. Let me be clear. You're not getting positive play from Kenneth Murray. That is gaslighting. Like, he is not being honest. I want Kenneth Murray benched. Not because I think Wilson's great, but come on here. Do you think the Cowboys should bench him? I've got more thoughts on this as I try really hard to not swear. S for start, B for bench. Should the Dallas Cowboys bench Kenneth Murray? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I have been clear on this. I am done with Kenneth Murray. He's not good. Brian Schottenheimer saying that Kenneth Murray plays with physicality is a joke. Like, we watch the games too, Shotty. He runs away from contact. He does not step up in the hole and shed a block. He will backpedal and sidestep when in having to take on blockers, especially guards. Like, he won't do it. He jumps out of holes constantly. Kenneth Murray is a bad football player. It's frankly been even worse than I was worried about it being when they first traded for him. He's not good. He's bad. He is a bad football player. He is one of the worst linebackers in the NFL. I'm not convinced Logan Wilson is a magical. I mean, he's probably not a magical upgrade, but at least he'll be in the right spot. That's Kenneth Murray's big issue. The number of times that Murray just jumps out of a hole, out of his gap, is insane to me. I don't know if you have the solution at linebacker, frankly. Maris Leofau has not played very good. He was better under Mike Zimmer. That's a red flag for me, by the way. Shamar James reminds me too much of Kenneth Murray at times with like his instinct stuff. But Shamar James is young. Like, that could get better. It ain't going to get better for Kenneth Murray. So please, Cowboys, I honestly don't even care who it is. Get Kenneth Murray off my screen.